Hey, New Churches Network. My name is Michael Bronson. It is such an honor to be able to share this video with you. We're going to do a little recap of what our Equipped Part 3 was the other day on the launch strategy and promotion of your church. What happened was we started a little late that night, and then by the time we got to 8:30, we still had some things to go over. So I told the class, you know what, let me film a video, kind of recap some thoughts, and we can include the rest in. So if you already were a part of that, no pressure to watch this video. But I just think it's important to get these concepts out there so that we're kind of all on the same page of what are some good strategies for launching our new church. By the way, you're such a legend for starting a new church. So cool, so awesome. So the goal of what we want to do today is, I'll try not to be too long. I'm known to rant though sometimes, is we're gonna, group texts are the worst. Sorry about that, folks. The goal of what we're gonna try to do is we want to help you form a church launch plan, okay? And how we can get our church out there, how we can let other people know about what that is, how we can help recruit other people to help start the church, and go from there. Okay, so we have just a couple sections, so I'm just going to go through them real quick. And the first one is, what is a church launch strategy? What even is that in the first place? So the church launch strategy is the plan that you have, that you follow ahead of time before your big opening Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you have your local church, Saturday. But it's kind of the plan before you get there. And it's funny because some people love the idea of church planting. It's like, yes, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna be able to take risks and do all this kind of thing. And then when it comes time to actually living that out, it's like, oh, I don't even know the first thing of what to do now. But look, successful church plants, they don't happen by accident. They're extremely intentional, and they follow a specific strategic plan. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're doing that as well. I have one friend, a really good friend of mine. He planted a church. He had about a year window to plan it and figure it out. And by the time he was launching, he wasn't really sure what he was going to do. I have another friend who started a church, and a little bit less than a year, but my goodness, he was an animal just planning everything out, and the launch was very successful. And you kind of see the difference there between having a launch strategy plan. And that's a question that we need to ask ourselves, okay, is, do we have a plan for launching our new church? Do we have a plan to do that? So the first question that we need to answer is, what type of launch is your church going to have? There's a couple different philosophies on kind of what a local church launch looks like. So I'll give you kind of two ends of the spectrum, okay? And there's a bunch in between, but I'll give you the two extremes. The first one is an organic launch, okay? So this is when a church will say, you know what, there's just a handful of us, and we're just gonna open it up to the public. Hey, whoever wants to come be a part of it, and we'll just slowly grow one by one by one. Growth is typically slower with that because you don't have this, that kind of exciting momentum to go along with it. But typically, who you get to be a part of your local church, you're going to keep them because they know everyone and they catch the vision behind it. And the only thing with this is it's a little tough to support a full-time paid position. Okay, so if that's what you're looking for, it could potentially be a little tricky. The second extreme that you have is kind of the large launch, right? Where it's like, we just want tons of people, or maybe it's more of a medium-sized launch. And what happens is you develop a group of people, like a core team, we want to call it the launch team, during this pre-launch stage. So you almost have a date set in mind. This is the day we're going to launch. Here's where we're announcing it. We're going to build towards that and kind of plan it out, okay? So this is where you potentially could get some funds for some full-time staff, but the financial demands are a lot higher though too, right? And then, so those are the two extremes. There's of course the in-betweens there, and you kind of got to decide where you're going to land on this scale, where are you going to land on the spectrum there, okay? So I want to go through some stages of a church plant before you officially launch. There's a couple different phases that you kind of go through as you're doing this. So the first one I want to call the discerning stage. So this is where you're not 100% sure if you want to plant the new church. You're not 100% sure where that's going to be, what city or community or town or village it's going to be. So you're just kind of figuring it out, okay? The second stage that I want to talk about is the, this is a little wordy, forgive me, it's straightforward though. The announcement preparation stage, okay? So you're preparing to make the announcement. So a lot of times what happens is church planters are like, you know what, okay, it's official, I'm gonna plant the church. And then it's just like on Facebook one day, like, I'm gonna plant the church. And it's not thought out, it's just kind of just thrown out there, which again, for the organic kind of style, that's can be an effective way, a million %. But if you can prepare that announcement, you can really gain some momentum. You can really make it an effective thing. Then of course you have the announcement stage where you actually make that announcement. And again, what we can do as church planters is we can actually make this day a really strategic moment where we get a bunch of people to be a part of our launch team and really set our new church up for success. And then we come to, and this is kind of the lion's share of what we're talking about today, is the pre-launch stage. So it's when the announcement is made, and then you have the rough date of when you're gonna launch, and it's this in-between time. What are we gonna do to prepare for our church launch, okay? And then of course we have launch day or the grand opening or the big, party, whatever that looks like. But this is the moment where we finally open up the church to the public and say, hey, everyone come on out and come be a part of the church, okay? So here are some challenges that I have for you of what we can do during each of these stages, okay? And again, you might be all the way through this. You might be right at the beginning. You might be somewhere in between. I want to encourage you, even if we've passed this, we can always go back and kind of redo this and go through the process, okay? Even if we've already started, okay? So the first stage is that discerning stage, right? So I challenge you, and it's in your notes there that we've attached along with this email, is I challenge you to pray and fast over what the future looks like with this new church, okay? Of course, we're people of prayer, but my goodness, we need to be fasting. This is, I love, who was it? One of the speakers on one of our NCN calls. He said, church planting is the big leagues. It's not like this thing where, oh, if I can't get this job, I guess I'll church plant. It's like, yeah, right. Like church planting is a big deal. It's such a privilege to do. Like, well, let's make sure that we're praying, but we're fasting as well. We're giving up food with our family, with our closest friends, about whether this is the decision we want to make. Let's pray and fast about what location this is going to be. So what city that we're going to be in. I encourage you, drive around a potential community and ask God to speak to you about it. Ask Him to show you, to give you a piece, whether this is what you're supposed to do or not in that location. This is when we want to pray and fast about what the church is going to look like, the DNA, right? So like mission and vision statements, core values, kind of how we are going to make disciples, because that's the goal of all of us, right? We all want to make disciples, but okay, so what does that look like in your context? What's the pathway? What are the steps that people go through as they become disciples of Jesus? And then we're just going to dream about what the church could be, okay? So that's kind of the discerning stage, really, really important, because that's kind of determine whether it happens or not. So the next part is the announcement preparation stage. And again, I know that's really wordy, and I think this is really overlooked a lot of the time. But it's actually really, really important, because what the announcement preparation stage does, it's preparing for the first impression that anyone has of your local church. The first impression that anyone will have, which is really important. So once we've decided, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start a new church, and this is the location that we're going to do it, what we want to have in place before we announce it publicly is we want to have at least a simple or an initial website set up, describing, who you are as a leader, why did you choose the city that you're planting a new church, what is your new church going to be like, and then some kind of next step, some kind of call to action of, hey, if you're interested in this, leave your email or call this number, or sign up for this list, or there's got to be some kind of next step. And then what happens is, as we announce this, hey, we're doing this thing, versus the random Facebook post of, oh, it's really cool that we're doing this, it's, hey, we're doing this, by the way, this is what I want you to do about it next. And right from day one, you'd be shocked at how many people want to be a part of what God is doing through that, okay? This is another time where we can pray and decide on our church name, okay? You don't have to do this. It can be really effective to say, hey, we're starting this brand new church. This is a total surprise to you, and this is what it's called. And it's just, like, that can be exciting. If you want, you could save the church name for more of the launch team at a later step as well. So there's ownership over there. That's cool too. I've seen people do that. I think that's creative. Here's another idea. Again, none of these are things that you have to do, but you potentially could create a vision video to go along with the announcement. So this is something that we've done. We've started a church in Binbrook. We did this, and then we started 5 years later. We're in the process actually of starting a church in Dundas, about 35 minutes away from Binbrook. And when we announced it, we had this video alongside of it. And basically it's just saying, hey, here's what we are doing. This is why we want to be doing this. And we want to invite you to come be a part of this brand new church that we're starting. And that's been really effective of getting people to be a part of that. If you want an example of that, you can go to mountainside.church/Dundas, and you'll kind of see our initial website. It's not the final version, obviously, but it's something where people can take the next step, and then where people can watch that vision video as well. We also want to, right from day one, right from when we're announcing, we want to have a way to collect funds, okay? Whether this is with our own church bank account, whether this is partnered with another church who will kind of hold it for us until we set our own stuff up and they can transfer it over, whatever that looks like. But I'm telling you, from day one, there's going to be people who potentially want to get behind what you're doing financially, and you want an answer for those people to say, oh, I'm so appreciative of that. Here's where you can go. This is a really important one. In this announcement preparation stage, we want to arrange to leave our current position well, okay? If that's applicable, if you're in a current church, we want to make sure that we're not leaving on bad terms. We want to make sure we're not blindsiding people. We want to make sure that we're not ticking people off as we leave. We want to leave well. So this is a time where we can, if we have a current boss and we're moving on, get them involved in the conversation, let them dream with it, let them own part of it so they can support you as you go. And then this is a time as well where we want to choose the general idea of when we want to start this new church, okay? So what we've seen as effective launch dates is the fall. The fall is always a classic one. Summer's over, school's starting up, new things are all starting up. There's kind of this mindset of, okay, I'm going to go start something new. The same thing with the new year. You just finished Christmas. That one I find is a little tougher than the fall, but I've seen that happen. I've actually been a part of a church that did that once, and it worked really well. And then the Easter season, of course, because people just have church on their mind. People are a little more open to going to a church service or to a local church. So that's always a good time. One thing that we're experimenting with is we are trying to plant our new church. We're going to start it on Palm Sunday this year. And the idea is that's the week before Easter, so hopefully we'll have a nice big launch there. And then on launch day, we can say, hey, next week is Easter, you got to come back to that. So we're hoping to have 2 kind of really big solid weeks up front. But we'll see what happens. I'll let you know how that goes. And by the way, a lot of this, there's no exact scientific way how to plant a church, okay? I should have said this up front. What I'm suggesting to you today isn't like this is how you need to go do it right now. I want to just give you an example and kind of a starting point of, hey, here's an idea, boom, 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 boom. Feel free to use that as a base and work off of it. Tweak this. If you like this part, go for that. If you don't like that part, don't worry about it. Add in a new part to it. It's all good. I just want to give you a base for those of us who are kind of asking that question of, okay, so how do I do this? With the launch date, just a little side note here, I remember hearing a story one time where someone planted a church. They had like 130 something people come on the first Sunday, and they were so pumped. They're like, yes, this is amazing. We're doing it. And the next Sunday, there was like 25 people that came. And it wasn't that people didn't like the local church. It's just that a lot of people were there well-wishing them and saying, hey, we support you. This is so great. We're going to visit you for the first week, and then we're going to go back to our church that we actually are a part of. So keep that in mind as well with launch day. That's a little tangent, sorry. The next stage after that is the announcement. So we want to make this a big moment to build some momentum, hopefully. So we do want to announce it on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, Snapchat, whatever the kids use these days. I don't know. But we want to, share it through email, text it to people, call people up that we need to, whoever it is. And we just want to make it this big moment. And hopefully you could have some other media that goes with that, whether that's a graphic or a video to kind of support what the new church is going to be like. And this is a time where we can point people to the website of how they can be a part of it. And it can just be really, really exciting moment, okay? So once we do that, once we're in the discerning stage, and then we prep for the announcement, and we finally have made the announcement, we've come to kind of the meat of what launching the church looks like. Is we're in the pre-launch stage. We have announced it, and the launch date is here. What happens all in the in-between leading up to that, okay? So I want to suggest to you, you could start doing Facebook and Instagram ads. That actually has a really good return on what you spend. It's a little less detailed as it used to be. Unfortunately, you can target, it's not as specific as it used to be, but it can still target pretty well the area that you're trying to reach. And again, that's an affordable thing. That's something where if it's like, hey, my budget's like $50, perfect. You can actually go far away with $50. Or if you're like, hey, I got $5,000, okay, perfect. Make sure a lot of that is used for Facebook and Instagram. That was effective back in 2016 when we started Binbrook, and we've noticed it's already effective as well here in 2021, okay? I also want to talk about mail out postcards. I know some people are like, it's digital, it's the physical mail out doesn't work. From what we have experienced is there's a couple families that come to our church right now who literally have become Christians because they received this postcard and they came to an event. And there's something just special about that. And I was kind of making the joke, we don't want to get too televangelists about this, but what we did is we had the boxes of flyers, and we would literally place our hands on them and pray over them and say, Lord, whoever this ends up, whatever house this ends up to, Lord, like let it be exactly what they're needing and looking for, and let them be curious about it. And that really was effective for us. So I would encourage you, use digital, but don't totally ignore flyers if it's possible. If it's not possible, it's all good. Digital will do incredible things. And with digital, you can get a lot of free stuff as well, right? Just through social media and this kind of thing. So during the pre-launch stage, there's about 5 things that we want to be doing regularly, though, which is going to start building a launch team. Okay, so this is how we're going to build our launch team. So, and again, these I just want to give you a base to work off of, and you can take or leave whatever you want, add whatever you want. But this is what I want to suggest to you. I want to suggest to you to host an information night every couple months, okay? Host an info night every couple months. So this is going to be a night where you're opening it to the public. Use postcards if you can, Instagram ads, Facebook ads if you can, saying, hey, a new church is starting and we're having an info night. We would love to have you come. And it's literally a blanket invitation. It's not just to church people. It's to unchurched people, church people, people from the community. Whoever wants to hear about it can come and hear about the new church. So I would recommend doing that every couple months and just kind of give a nice big wide net of the opportunity for people to hear. From there, I want to suggest to you to host a prayer and vision night once per month, okay? So these are going to be nights for the people that say, I'm interested in this church, or yes, I'm committed to this church. I want to help start this new church. It's going to be a time where once a month you can get together as a group, whether that's 5 people or 50 people or 500 people, whatever that looks like, and you can just pray for your local church, pray for your community that God would reach it. And it's going to be a time too where you can have some discussion, talk about the church DNA, cast some vision of, hey, here's our core values. Hey, here's our mission statement. What do you guys think about that? Let's discuss this. And it's just a really good time to pray, cast vision, okay? So I want to challenge you, do that once a month. And then I also want to challenge you to have something called community building nights once a month, okay? So the vision and prayer nights, that's kind of the professional thing, the spiritual stuff of, okay, like let's pray and fast for this, let's like cast vision about reaching people, this kind of thing. The community building nights, these are going to be the fun, laid back nights of, hey, let's just get to know one another. I don't know what your new church is going to look like, but when we planted Binbrook, as we're planting Dunnice right now, we're seeing it again, is we have many circles all coming together. We have people from old school churches. We have people that just got saved. We have people from different denominations, people from different cities, people that don't know each other, older people, younger people, all kind of as the church now. So we want a way where we can mesh this together and people can get to know one another. So this is where, you go bowling together. You're all going to go to the bowling alley together and just hang out and order a bunch of pizza and wings and just hang out. It's going to be a time, what we're doing this next month is we're having a board game night, so we're all just going to a building, a bunch of tables set up, a bunch of stations. We're gonna have some Risks, some Monopoly, some chess, I don't know. And it's gonna be, I think it's kind of lame, me personally, but in COVID, you kind of gotta make whatever work. We want to do, there's a skating rink in Dundas as well where we're starting. So we want to all go to the skating rink one month, just finding these creative ways to get to know each other. Really important. So our schedule right now is we've had one info night so far. We have another info night in about 2 months, and every other week we have a prayer night and vision night. The next one, 2 weeks later, we're having the community building night. So just every other week there's something going on there. Okay. I also want to challenge you to, during this pre-launch stage, is to have some outreach events if possible in your community. Okay, so it's never too early to start serving and start showing that just really practical, simple ways to love your community, right? So this is, whether it's hosting a movie night, and I know it's different because of COVID, but whether it's, if there's a festival going on, setting up a booth to hand out popcorn or water bottles, having a booth there with free draws. I don't know, handing out cards of, hey, we're a new church, we're starting up this fall or this spring or this Easter or whatever that looks like. Getting the word out there, right? And it's wild because it's showing God's love, but it's also promoting the launch day and getting it in people's mind. Okay, and then the last thing that we want to make sure that we're doing during this pre-launch stage, and this is, my goodness, how important this is. We just want to meet with as many people individually as possible to share the vision of our local church. We want to help recruit people to our church launch team. So to do this, we'll need, our 30-second elevator pitch of the vision of, hey, this is what we're going to do. And we need our 30-minute pitch where, if we've sold them on the 30-second one, it's, hey, will you grab a coffee with me? I want to share more about it. And then you grab coffee, or you do it over Zoom or your phone call or email combo, whatever that looks like. But we kind of share the pitch. Sorry, I'm taking way too long here. I'll blaze through this. We want to meet with community leaders as well, or city officials, ask how we can serve. This is important. I got to stop here. We want to make sure that we're messaging other churches in the area to let them know of what we're doing and what our intentions are, okay? I think this is really important. We don't want to be that new church. It's like, well, we're planting because all the other churches suck in this neighborhood. So it's like, finally a real church is in town. It's like, no. We're not going to be those people. We're not going to be those guys and girls, because that's not being kingdom-minded, and Jesus is not arrogant, so we should not be arrogant as well, okay? I messaged every single leader in Bimbrook as soon as we announced it. I sent them the video and said, hey, just so you know, this is what we're doing. I did the same thing in Dundas. As soon as we announced it, I messaged every single church in that community in the surrounding area and said, hey, just so you know, my name's Michael. This is what we're doing. I just want to fill you in on it. And I let them know, and maybe this is too blunt or what, or just talking about something that's a little taboo, but I said up front, I have no intention of trying to take people from your churches to come to our church. We're going after unchurched people, and not people who already go to church. And I think that's important, okay, that we're united in this way. We want to spend time with unchurched people. My goodness, we need some stories there to inspire the rest of our church launch team and our church that, hey, let's go do this. Getting in the local newspaper is always good. If you're in a smaller town, it can be a little easier. If you're in Toronto, I don't know if the Toronto Star will, new church in town, I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah, who knows? You could start groups if you want. And of course, in this stage, we want to just continue to pray and fast. There's a ton of other responsibilities that we're going to be doing in this pre-launch stage, but we're not going to get into that, okay? Because this video is all about how are we building our launch team? How are we getting the word out there that the church is starting? But keep in mind, okay, this is future weeks coming up or future weeks behind, but we need to be fundraising in this time. We need to be planning our kids and youth ministry, if that's something that we're doing. We're purchasing equipment. There's, oh my goodness, the list is big, but you've got this. You've got this, don't worry. And then finally, the last stage is you have the big launch day, whatever day that is, whatever time that's at. We've been waiting for this. We've been prepping for this, okay? And the idea of building a church launch team is so that you can have that launch day with confidence that people are coming and it's going to be good, okay? It's not this, I was giving the analogy the other day, it's not this house of cards where it's like, oh my goodness, hopefully this happens, one wrong thing, it's like, no. It's made of stone, it's made of brick. This church is going to last. This local church is going to last because there's a good team behind it. There's a good group behind it that we've built as time has gone. So to kind of recap why we want to go through these stages, I want to give you a little example of one way that it could look, okay? So let's make it real practical. This is something we want to aim for, okay? So we make the announcement. It's on Facebook. There's ads going on. There's a video of it. The word is spreading along the community. Oh, did you hear there's a new church? So someone hears about the new church. From there, they hear there's an info night. So they come to the info night. They say, interesting. I just want to know what's going on. They meet you. They meet one of your staff. They meet someone else from the church. And they say, oh, these people seem kind of cool. Okay, I'll give them a chance. So they meet up with coffee with you. And you're able to give them that 30-minute pitch of, yeah, this is why we're starting the church. Any questions that you have, this kind of thing. From there, they say, you know what, this sounds legit. I'm going to go to the next event. So they come to a prayer night. They come to a community building night, and they're still not 100% in, but they're like, okay, this is kind of cool. They volunteer at an outreach event that you guys are doing. And eventually they get to the point where they say, you know what, I really like these people. I trust these people. I would like to be a part here. And then they can actually help recruit others. And then launch day comes, and they are there faithfully serving and helping out. Now, again, it's not always going to look like that, but that's kind of what we're aiming for. And then whatever we get, we get. You know, we'll take whatever the Lord sends us, but this is kind of the ideal what we're aiming for, of just a random person that we've never met before who can then come be a part of it. And ideally, again, we're looking for people who don't know Jesus, or for people who are in church transition already, okay? Because we're not sheep stealing. We're not those people, okay? We're not going to be doing that. Okay, this is important too. How long should this pre-launch stage be? Because there's a lot to do. So how long does this take? So of course, depending on who you are as a leader, depending on what situation and context you're in, it's going to look different. Here are a couple options, okay? You could take the 8 months to a year route. I've seen a friend do that before. He took a year. One thing about that was, though, he was telling me that the people that hopped on right away and said, we can't wait to help you, 8 months in, 9 months in, 10 months in, they were like, for goodness sakes, can we start already? Like, this is taking so long. Like, it's great for the people that hopped on at the end. For them, it's been a couple months. But for the people that hopped on at the beginning, they can get a little anxious. Let's get this going. What we've done in Bimbrook, we did 8 months, an 8-month ramp. We're doing more of a 6 month ramp this time. Just for us, that's worked really well, because there's a lot to figure out, but it doesn't feel too rushed. We felt like that was a sweet spot. 1 to 3 months, I've heard of this happening as well. And this can be tough to build a launch team, to build trust. This works really well if it's more of a sending church and it's all people that already know each other. And, it's not about recruiting random people to join the launch team. It's they already have the launch team. That's where I've seen that work really, really well. But it's all about the launch team, guys. It's all about building a launch team so that you can start strong, you can start well. And a part of why we want to do this is we want to avoid just having church attenders, okay? So church attenders, they're the people who hear about your church, the new church starting up, and they say, interesting, I'll show up on launch day and I'll figure it out if I like them or not. We don't know who they are. We're not even sure if they're going to show up or not. We don't know if they're going to come back. We know nothing about them. It's a big question mark. The launch team, though, on the other hand, we know them. We know their skills. We know their giftings. We've been walking with them for months. We know that they're coming on launch day. We know that they're actually serving on launch day and helping out. And can you imagine having a core group of people that would just take the stress away of, are people going to show up? It's like, even if no one else shows up, we at least have the launch team. It's all good. In your notes there, we talk a bit about pitching the vision, kind of what that could look like, an example of that. We don't have time to go through all of that, but I do want to talk about Stephen Covey Jr. He wrote a book called Speed of Trust. And he kind of makes the argument that you actually can build trust with people quickly if you do these 4 things. And I would say after practicing this for a little bit that it's absolutely true. So he argues that you can build trust with someone right away, quickly, as you know, and we want to apply that to as we are doing a pitch and trying to recruit people to come be a part of our church, by showing that we're a person of character, by letting others know our intentions of what we intend to do, by showing people that we're competent people, and by sharing past results of this is what we've done in the past, and which is going to help determine future. So we want to keep that in mind, okay, as we are having our first info night. We want to keep these 4 things in mind. Have I introduced in a healthy way that we're people of character? Have I set our intentions? Have I shown that we're competent? Have we shared past results to build trust? As we're having coffee meetings with one-on-one, am I showing these 4 things? As I'm doing my 30-second elevator pitch to someone, have I shown these things? As we make ads, as we make our vision video, are we showing these 4 qualities? And I believe it makes a difference. Just a quick example of what we can do. We can show our character to people because it's so tough, right? You don't want to be like bragging. It's like, let me tell you how spiritual I am. Oh my goodness, God and I. It's like, no, again, you don't want to be arrogant, but you can mention, oh my goodness, I love this city. I've been praying for this city for X amount of time. Oh my goodness, I really feel led by God to this city for this reason. What's that showing? It's showing that you spend time with God in prayer, that you love God. Like it's showing character without bragging, right? I challenge you to be blunt with your intentions in the new church too. The way I do it is I just say straight up, my intentions with this church are X, you know, and that's really effective. I challenge you with competency, just talk about your strengths. Talk about your passions. Talk about what gets you excited, okay? You can do that in a non-arrogant way. It's just let's be confident, let's be gentle, let's still be humble, but let's talk about that, what excites us. And then let's share past ministry experiences where we've led something that worked, where we led someone personally to Jesus, where we saw lives transformed. What that's going to do is it's going to build trust with people and help people kind of hop on board, okay? Okay, one of the last things I promised, and then we're almost good, is there's something called the people list. That's what we call it, at least in our circle. You can call it whatever the heck you want. It's not revolutionary. All it is a spreadsheet, and it's keeping track of what step people are on, and it's keeping track of people so people don't fall through the cracks. So, cracks. Fall through the cracks. Oh, beautiful. And these are the headings I want to suggest to you, okay? The way we've done it is we have our committed people, our probably committed people, our interested people, our possibly interested people, the people that it's honestly no clue, I need to ask, and then the people who probably will not be interested, but I'm going to ask them anyways, okay? And what we want to do is, the goal is we want as many people in the committed heading as possible. And I challenge you, go through your Facebook list, your Instagram list, your phone list, your email list, whatever it is, go through every possible name and say, can I put this person on a list, on one of these headings here, and populate that list as big as you can. And as you meet people, we're going to try to push people to move eventually to the committed list. And if someone eventually they're saying, you know, that's not for me, you just take them off the list. No big deal. Great way to track people as well, and just as we're sending email reminders, text reminders too, to having all the info there, it's really important to know kind of who's tracking along with you. Okay, so some final thoughts, okay? Final thoughts. I mentioned this already. Please don't sheep steal. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Let's be kingdom-minded people. Let's not try to convince other people from other churches to, join ours if they're already part of a Jesus-centered church. No. We're gonna aim for people who don't know Jesus yet. Okay, that's gonna be our heart. That's gonna be our passion. It's not about transfer growth. It's about kingdom growth. Second thing, the cement is wet at the beginning. Okay, so set the culture of what you want it to be up front. Okay, I challenge you, talk about money early. Talk about generosity and giving early. Don't let it be an awkward thing. Just go for it. Okay, set that in the culture. I challenge you, talk about planting new churches as normal up front. You know, say it, whether it's, 10 years from now or 5 years from now or 15 years from now, to say, it's really cool that we're starting this church. How cool would it be to start new ones in the future? Set it up front, okay? I challenge you, pray for workers. If you feel like, you're like, I feel like no one's coming, what's going on? I feel like the pre-launch team isn't working. Pray for workers. Jesus told us to pray. He sends them. And then don't ask others to do something if you won't. Lead by example, of course. Be the first one with a story about evangelism. Be the first person to say, hey, we're going to go door knocking. I already did it last week. Let me tell you how it was. Whatever that looks like, be a kingdom-minded leader like that. And then second last thing, manage expectations, okay? COVID is an absolute wild card these days. Something thinking about, maybe we need to under-promise and over-deliver, okay, to build some momentum there. And then just wrapping it up, when you hit a wall, don't give up, okay? Sometimes you do everything right, and it's like, I don't get it. I followed the plan. It was a good plan, and I've prayed and fasted, and I've done all this and this and this. I feel like no one's coming to be a part of it. I encourage you right now, just stay faithful. Just keep going. The key isn't to be something great. The key is to love Jesus, to love others. And he's going, as we stay faithful to him, he's going to stay faithful to us no matter what we do. Most churches that start off aren't this big flashy story, okay? I know we all hear and see the big flashy stories. That's not most of our churches. Most of our churches are just average congregations that slowly grow as time goes. So be proud of that, okay? Because I know Jesus is proud of that, okay? So in summary of all this stuff, I know there's a lot there. Creating our church launch plan. What we want it to include is in your notes is a church launch timeline. So we actually want to map out month by month what we're doing, and we want to follow that schedule. We want to be tracking with people with the people list, and then we want to be working on our pitch and making sure that we know what we're saying to people when the time comes of, why should I join church? Tell me about your church. It's like, oh, we're ready to go there. And again, we're integrating those 4 ways that we can build trust quickly. And I believe that as we do this, that's going to be a really good foundation for starting this new church and getting the word out there and promoting this church and helping other people come and be a part of it. Because at the end of the day, we're making disciples, and that's what God wants us to do. So good job. And I was encouraging the class the other day that you guys are absolute legends for planting. You men and women of faith for doing this. Nothing against just being at a regular church that someone else started years and years ago, but there is just something so special about starting something new. It's so biblical. Like, my goodness, you read the New Testament, what did they do? How did they do the Great Commission? They started new churches, right? And I want to let you know, you are a gift to your local city, your local community, and you're a gift to our Payock family. Honestly, we need you. We need your voice. So don't ever lose that heart of a risk taker, okay? Because you're doing something very, very beautiful, very, very important, okay? It's very, very important. And if you ever want to talk about these ideas, I have in the note to my email, michael@mountainside.church. Love to pray with you, dream with you, vision with you about all of these things, okay? So the homework for this for this month is we want to create a launch plan, okay? So you can find the details, find the examples in the notes, and you can send that to Diane. Her email's in the notes as well. And then we'll see you for week number 4. Thanks for putting up with this separate video that's not on Zoom. Really appreciate it. Love you guys. Thanks.